Bad teams that are barely making bowl games, which is what they were in 2021 and what they both could potentially be in 2022. But yeah, it is a bummer because Oklahoma was going to be such a big time game next year. And I got to use the word bummer less on this podcast. I think I've already used it like 5 times, so I'll cut that out.
Well, hey, it is what it is. We're going to be honest on our perspective here. I will say, last thing I guess we can blend all this together. And it's all about coaching because there have been some coaching moves. There's been some coaching interesting nuggets that's popped up from the pod. Late Kicks Josh Pate made some headlines this week because I was listening today, actually, on the way back. And this afternoon, I was listening to one of his latest pods. I don't know if it was the latest one he talked about this, but coaching intel and who's in the hot seat, whose names might emerge and stuff like that. And I hadn't considered this as a possibility, but you just kind of forget that Deion just being an Atlanta guy, because you just think Florida State, but you're like, wait, Falcons, Braves, like that's an easy thing to just forget that he actually really was and still remains a beloved Atlanta figure. And he threw out that there are people within the administration and at Tech, powerful people essentially, paraphrasing here a little bit, but are believers in that, like, just go the other way and just bring in Sanders and he made the Sam Pittman comparison where, like, part of the reason Arkansas works right now, and Pittman's talked about this, is that he built the mega staff. And that's true. Like, his staff is incredible. And that's a big reason why Arkansas has just rebuilt the way they have. If you give the same kind of leeway to Deion coming in and let him build a mega staff in Atlanta, like kind of like what Jeff and what you agreed with when you were like, hey, Atlanta could be a lot more. It's like, you're in Atlanta. It's a great market. Obviously, Georgia's a talent-rich state. Atlanta should be cool, and the 404 should be a cool thing, and it's really close to home for a lot of big-time prospects that there is a path to Georgia Tech being a relevant, big, important program. Deion, I dismissed it at first glance, just being the Florida State thing, but I'm like, that's not crazy. And if you could lure Deion to Georgia Tech and really just hand him the keys, you want to talk about just, that's the kind of swing. Like I said, air raid or triple option, but like that's another wild card. That's what we said TCU should do, where it's like some big time program needs to just hand the keys in this era of college football to Deion Sanders, because it seems foolish at this point to bet against Deion Sanders. You're also probably immediately getting the number one player in the last recruiting class if you hire Deion Sanders this offseason. Like, you're getting Travis Hunter probably in a package deal. So that's pretty nice if you're Georgia Tech or whoever, or Florida State. I mean, probably not Florida State. They're out. I mean, Mike Norvell seems like he's really got this team moving in the right direction. I don't know. What do you make of the possibility? Because we can go ahead and say Jeff Collins is out after that embarrassment last weekend. Nothing's working. It's over. 10 wins in 4 years. Just it's not happening for Jeff Collins on the flats. What do you make of Jeff Collins, the end of Jeff Collins' tenure, Matt Green, and the Deion Sanders possibility?
Well, and you saw Lane Kiffin's comment too, right? From this game this weekend. He said like he wanted to get Luke Altmaier like more reps and more attempts, and he's just like, just looking at that over that sideline. I'm paraphrasing, but like with all the hot seats to talk about, he's like about Jeff Collins. He's like, it just felt like inappropriate to like bring my backup in and just keep throwing the ball. It's like you're feeling pity from the opposing sideline. It's just never a good thing. Like that's not how guys typically think when they're playing football. You just try to beat the opponent, make him stop you. So that's a terrible sign. But in terms of Deion Sanders, so yeah, I agree. Jeff Collins is pretty much on his way out. But in terms of Deion Sanders, I mean, it would be a home run hire. I think there is some like validity in terms of like, because when it comes to like a coaching job, I feel like the two entities need each other equally, right? That's kind of why we talked about the Urban Meyer Nebraska stuff. It's like they both desperately need each other. So it's like there might be something there. So it's like Deion, while he is this huge name and he's like creating buzz, getting 5 stars at Jackson State, there's still a lot for him to prove in the eyes of, the decision makers in college football, because he's only been a head coach for a couple years in college. So like there's still a lot, and he's at an HBCU. Like, you might question the level of competition. Like, maybe he's just getting more talent and out-talenting everybody he's playing at that level. But so in Georgia Tech is just like from 97, I think it was from 97 to 2014, Georgia Tech had one losing season. Like, this is not, am I looking at that right? Yeah, I had to go back and look at that. One losing season for like 17, 18 years in a row. The last 7 years, they have 5 losing seasons. Like, this isn't just some program that's just always been awful. Like, George O'Leary, I mean, was going to get the Notre Dame job for how well he did at Georgia Tech. You know what I mean? Like, even Chan Gailey was terrible, and he went to bowl games every year. So it's like Georgia Tech is just like, I hear about the academics talked about all the time. Like, oh, we can't get good players. The academics are just too tough. It's like, well, you were a good program like a decade plus ago. Like, what happened to that? They weren't always this joke of a program. It feels like maybe Jeff Collins was just the guy they needed to kind of like, hey, we're not running the triple option anymore. We are here in Atlanta. Here we are, like, look at us. We have Adidas uniforms now. We don't have Russell Athletic. Like, he kind of needed to get him out of the Stone Age. I mean, he's getting like some top 40, top 30 recruiting classes, like not just awful, like 100th, 80th ranked classes like Paul Johnson was getting. So he almost feels like the sacrificial, like, I don't know, bridge to the next guy. Like, he had to get him out of the pits, but this is as far as he can go with him, right? So like Deion, from that stance, it's like Deion might need to prove himself enough to where like he takes a job like Georgia Tech. It feels like it would still be nothing but a stepping stone. And so I feel like that's what the difference is. What I would say with Sam Pittman is like, he legit looks at Arkansas as a destination job. And if he won an SEC title at Arkansas this year or next year, like, he's not going to go take the Alabama job in 5 years and Nick Saban. I really don't think so, at least. Like, he seems like he is an Arkansas guy, and we don't really like, did Chad Morris view Arkansas as his destination job, or was it a stepping stone to get him to the next job, right? Like, so that from that perspective, Deion doesn't seem like it's hard to view Georgia Tech as a destination job, just what they are right now. And Deion Sanders just seems so much more big time than Georgia Tech, but I don't know. The Atlanta thing is interesting, but I still like, what kind of money does Georgia Tech have as a football program? Are they going to have the backing to, build your super staff? What do we need to do for NIL? Yeah, we'll pay it. They just don't feel like that program. And Deion just doesn't seem like he's going to go to somewhere that's not just all in, invest in the program. And so the Atlanta thing does seem like a connection, but I don't know. It seems like if he had 2 or 3 more, maybe even 1 or 2 more good years at Jackson State, a bigger program than that might come calling.
All that being said, it would be super cool, and that's what I'm hoping for. Of all the possibilities for Georgia Tech, like, that would be cool for the sport. It'd be cool for the home state. Like I said, I have no idea if it would work. Like, you made some great points on whether or not the buy-in and the money and everything else, but it would be cool. Also, Deion just staying at Jackson State's also pretty cool. Just doing what he's doing and doing just so much good for that community that's going through hell right now. I don't know. I think what he's doing and how much he cares, and just I really like Deion Sanders. So I think if he were to stay and just continue building what he's building, that'd also be super cool. But either way, I think that would be cool, an Atlanta homecoming of sorts at Georgia Tech.
For sure. The guy is just like an infectious personality. Yes. He's just like, seeing him in person when he spoke at the College Football Hall of Fame, it's just like, I don't feel like I've ever seen a person like with that much charisma, like, speak in person. It was just like, this guy, he's a superstar. He knows it. It doesn't even matter what he's doing. He's a superstar at it.
Absolutely. Actual coaching changes.